This is the Play Your Position podcast, where we huddle up, call the plays, and inspire you to run your ball into the end zone. Are you ready to score more game-winning touchdowns in your life, business, and career? Then listen up, because it's game time, baby. Now, here's your host, Mary Lou Kaiser.
Hello, everyone. Mary Lou Kaiser here. Welcome to another episode of the Play Your Position podcast. We are at the end of January 2021, which is hard for me to believe. It seems like January flew by. And this month, aside from the amazing conversations I've had with some great folks who are out there in the world playing their positions, folks like Susan James and Jim McCarthy, I have also been exploring the concept of gratitude this month and the role that gratitude plays in our lives, how it can help us be more effective as we play our positions, how it can lift us out of funks when we find ourselves in the doldrums, which, let's be honest, as humans, we're going to get there sometimes. And in the Northern Hemisphere, in the northern states, where the light is less during the day than it is in the summer months, people can struggle with a lot of different things. We also have just come through a fairly unsettling time in our political history here in the States. Last week, there was a transition of power at the presidential level, and leading up to that day, there was a lot of speculation about what some extremist groups might do because they don't agree with how things turned out. And so the tension that exists on a large scale, of course, the pandemic is thrown in there, right? And then we are here trying to lead our lives, play our positions, do our best work. There's going to be some conflict. There's going to be times when, despite your best intentions, gratitude just doesn't come to you. And I did drop an episode last week about when being grateful is hard. And so if you haven't listened to that, you can go back and check it out. In today's episode, I wanted to share 3 quotes about gratitude that I found over the weekend when I was thinking about how do I want to wrap up this amazing month of January. And I always think it's fun to go find what other people from different times have said about an idea. And gratitude is something that people have been writing about, thinking about, talking about for centuries. So there's nothing new. The 3 that I found are 20th century, to the best of my knowledge. And I think they are good reminders at the start of the week, as we round out a month, as we look ahead to what's coming in the rest of Q1 and then Q2. And again, the ultimate point here is how can we arm ourselves with tools that allow us to be fully ourselves, even when times aren't easy, right? And let's face it, right now, times are challenging for some people. They're also amazing for others. It's really all about your attitude. But even the best attitude, even the people who appear to be happy all the time, do have days when things just don't go according to plan. That's just how it is. So when we can reach for gratitude, when we can remind ourselves that when we give thanks for what we have, for who we are, for who we know, for the journey we've been on, there's almost an instant physical release. Like your shoulders just drop and a weight is lifted. I'm feeling that right now as I'm talking about it. And I'm thinking about releasing some of the tension that I've been carrying because of the darkness, and we've had a lot of cloudy weather here in the Northwest recently. And despite getting outside, the lack of sun, my physiology, and I'm aware of that. So right now is the time when I start dreaming about sunnier climates. But because of the restrictions of travel and the fact that I want to honor what is happening in the world right now, I'm finding ways to offset the fact that the weather isn't always going to be bright blue, sunny skies when I wake up every morning. So just a little side note there. So let's get to the quotes. This episode isn't going to be very long. I really wanted to just give you a little burst of inspiration for your Monday. And the first quote is by a person named Germany Kent. And they said, it's a funny thing about life. Once you begin to take note of the things you are grateful for, you begin to lose sight of the things that you lack. Let me read that again. It's a funny thing about life. Once you begin to take note of the things you are grateful for, you begin to lose sight of the things that you lack. Have you noticed this for yourself? Have you paid attention to when you're focused on the blessings that you have, the fact that you are listening to a podcast through some electronic device? It might be your smartphone. It might be your laptop. It might be your tablet. But you have a device that truly is a miracle of modern life, a device that connects us. And so there are times when I literally will stare at my iPhone and marvel at this device because I do remember a day when we didn't have them and we weren't connected, and I couldn't just send a quick text to someone I love to say, thinking about you, or a funny emoji or a funny meme, right? So when I get into that space and I look around at the things that I do have in my life, I tend not to focus anymore on what I don't have. So I really liked that quote. The second one comes from Winnie the Pooh, which is a book many of you either may know about or grew up reading. And the quote is, Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it could hold a rather large amount of gratitude. Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it could hold a rather large amount of gratitude. Love this. Love the Winnie the Pooh series. A.A. Milne was a genius, not only artistically, but also understanding the human condition. And each character, if you're familiar with the book, symbolizes or represents different types of personalities. You know, you have Tigger, who is just the fun-loving, let's go, boing, boing, boing all the time as we bounce around, Tigger's bounce. And then there's Winnie the Pooh, who just loves being comfy and having his 11sies and sticking his nose in the honey pot. And then there's Piglet, who, although small, has a huge heart and is just full of, well, he had a very small heart, literally, but he had a huge heart that was just limitless when it came to loving and holding gratitude and being a good friend. And then Eeyore, of course, is the darker side of humanity. The life is not going according to plan, the doldrums, the blues, etc. But I just think of Piglet. I can imagine his cuteness and the little drawings that A.A. Milne created in the book. And then, of course, all the comics and cartoons that have since been generated from that one incredible story. And so it doesn't matter how big or small we are, we can always hold a large amount of gratitude. I love that message. And then the third and final quote on gratitude for today is by a man named Douglas Wood. And he wrote, "The heart that gives thanks is a happy one, for we cannot feel thankful and unhappy at the same time." The heart that gives thanks is a happy one, for we cannot feel thankful and unhappy at the same time. I remember hearing a similar idea on a podcast a couple years ago, and it struck me because I thought, that's interesting. Can I be unhappy and also express gratitude? So I did a test on myself, and I couldn't. If I was grumpy, there was no room for gratitude. It's just, I was so focused on whatever was making me grumpy. And as soon as I switched my attitude to one of gratitude, the grumpiness dissipates. And so if you have never tried this for yourself, use that quote as a test. See when you, this week, or hopefully not this week, but the next time you find yourself grumbling about something, complaining about something, being unhappy, try to take yourself out of that and say, can I be grateful at the same time? Can I really be mad? Can I really be sad and also grateful? It's just not possible. It's fascinating. So I really liked that one and wanted to leave you with that for today. In a culture like ours that gives us so much, it is easy sometimes to lose sight of the simple blessings, the simple things. So today I've made a point that I'm going to focus on the small things in my life that mean something to me. I'm going to realize that even if things don't go according to plan, there is a place for gratitude in there. And also recognize that I have everything I could possibly ever want because I choose to show up and be myself. And at the end of the day, that's the greatest gift anyone can give themselves. And I work hard at it every day. Some days are better than others, but gratitude is a way out of the dark. It's a way out of the times when you just feel lost or life isn't going the way you had hoped. And my hope for today, team, is that these quotes gave you something to think about as you go about your day. And remember, it is always a great day to get out there and play your position. This is Mary Lou Kayser. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Got a great key offensive strategy you like to share? Write to us at coach@pyppodcast.com or on Twitter, use #PYP and let us know how you're running your ball into the end zone for those game-winning touchdowns.